The Prince of Tides and the Captain of Crowns, Part 1. The princess of the Salisbury Princess, Alara of Ethelgerd, was a disappointment to the court, but a legend to the docks. While her sisters practiced the delicate art of the harpsichord and debated the merits of silk over satin, Alara spent her youth learning the language of the winds. Her father, King Alaric, viewed the ocean as a moda barrier to keep enemies out and taxes in. To Alara, the ocean was the only place large enough to hold her spirit. By her 20th year, she had earned her command. Her ship, the Vanguard, was a formidable galleon with timbers seasoned and spiced in cannon smoke. Alara herself was a creature of the elements, her skin bronzed to a deep mahogany, her hands calloused by hemp rope, and her eyes a piercing, restless gray that mirrored the North Atlantic. One humid July evening, the horizon didn't just darken. It bruised. The sun sank into a sea that had turned the color of old oil, and the gulls, usually bold and screaming, fled toward the inland cliffs in eerie silence. Double reef the mainsail. Alara's voice cracked like a whip across the deck. Lash the cannons until the ropes groan. The sea mother is drawing a deep breath, and she doesn't intend to exhale gently. Part 2. The Iron Snare. The storm was a titan. It didn't just rain. The sky collapsed. Waves the size of cathedrals hammered the Vanguard, lifting the massive ship and dropping it into troughs that felt like the throat of the world. In the strobe light flashes of violet lightning, Alara stayed lashed to the wheel, her muscles screaming. During a momentary lull in the wind, she saw it, a phosphorescent glow struggling against a mass of floating wreckage. It was caught in a ghost net, a prehistoric-looking web of iron-threaded wire used by the illegal deep-sea trawlers of the Southern Isles. These nets were designed to catch anything and break. Everything. Through her spyglass, Alara caught a glimpse of a face. It was hauntingly beautiful, with high, sharp cheekbones and eyes the color of glowing amber. Below the waist, a massive, muscular tail thrashed, its scales a gradient of emerald, sapphire, and dying light. The iron wire was coiled around him like a vengeful serpent, slicing into his shimmering skin. "Heave to," she roared. "Man, the lifelines. Princess, look at the tail." Her first mate, Kale, shouted over the gale. "That's a high dweller. They pull ships under for sport. If we bring it near, we're dead men." "He isn't Kale. He's a soul in agony," Alara replied, drawing a heavy, serrated boarding pike from the rack. "And I won't have his blood on my conscience." Part 3. The Silent Rescue. The water was a chaotic slurry of salt and ice. When Alara dove, the shock nearly stopped her heart. She swam toward the glow, guided by the bioluminescence of the Mere Prince's blood, which trailed into the dark like liquid starlight. As she reached him, the boy bared teeth as sharp as obsidian shards. He was terrified, his gills pulsing erratically as the weighted net dragged him toward the crushing pressure of the depths. Alara reached out, not for his net, but for his hand. She squeezed his webbing, meeting his amber gaze with a fierce, steady calm. "Trust me," she thought, hoping the intent could bridge the gap between species. The rescue was grueling. The iron-laced ropes resisted her blade, and every surge of the ocean threatened to smash them both against the Vanguard's hull. She saw it until her knuckles bled, her lungs burning for air. With a final desperate heave, the last strand of the snare snapped. The Mere Prince went limp. The light in his scales flickered and died, turning a dull, bruised gray. Alara hooked her arm under his chest. He felt strangely light, his bones likely hollow or pressurized for the deep, and signaled the crew to haul them up. Part 4. Life on the hard surface for 3 days. The Vanguard became a floating hospital. The prince, whom Alara named Caspian, lay in a massive copper vat in the hold, surrounded by medicinal kelp and cooled seawater. The crew whispered of curses, but Alara remained in the shadows of the hold. She watched him wake. His first reaction to the dry world was one of sensory overload. He found the concept of fire terrifying yet hypnotic. When Alara brought a lantern near, he reached out a webbed finger, his eyes wide with wonder at the captured sun. "Fire is the sun's brother," she whispered, guiding his hand away. "It bites if you're not careful, like the iron that caught you." Caspian began to communicate through vibrations low, melodic hums that resonated in the water of the vat and settled in Alara's bones. One evening, he reached out and touched a jagged scar on Alara's forearm, a memento from a rigging accident years prior. He closed his eyes and sang this single crystalline note. A warmth like a summer breeze washed over her arm. When he pulled his hand away, the scar was gone. In that moment, she realized he wasn't just a creature of the sea. He was a master of a different kind of grace. Part 5. The choice on the fourth day. The Vanguard reached the shimmering shallows, where the water was so clear it looked like liquid glass. Caspian stood in his vat, his strength returned, his scales now a vibrant, pulsing turquoise. He looked at the horizon, then at Alara. He reached into a pouch at his waist and produced a small, translucent pearl that glowed with a rhythmic, internal light. He held it out to her, then gestured to the vast open ocean. "I cannot follow you, Caspian," Alara said, her voice cracking. "The air is my life, as the water is yours. I have a ship, a crew, a kingdom." Caspian shook his head and pressed the pearl into her palm. He made a swallowing motion, his amber eyes pleading. He wasn't asking her to visit. He was offering her the keys to his world. Part 6. The deep kingdom. Alara looked at her first mate, Kale, who stood by the railing. She looked at the Vanguard, the ship she had bled for. Then she looked at the pearl of the tides. She swallowed it. It tasted of ozone and ancient memories. Immediately, her skin tingled, and the air felt too thin, too sharp. She stepped onto the gunwale. "Kale," she called out, a wild smile breaking across her face. "Tell the king that the Princess of Ethelgerd has found a throne that doesn't require a crown of gold. Tell him I have gone to negotiate a treaty with the tides." She dove. As she hit the water, the expected shock never came. Instead, the ocean felt like a warm silk shroud. Her lungs didn't scream for air. They hummed with the oxygen filtered through the pearl's magic. Beside her, Caspian was a streak of lightning, his tail propelling him with effortless power. They descended past the sunlit layers into the twilight zone, where the abyssal plain opened up. It was not a graveyard of ships, but a kingdom of light. Great spires of living coral rose from the seafloor, illuminated by lamps of glowing jellyfish. Thousands of merfolk gathered, their songs creating a symphony that Alara could feel in her very marrow. Caspian led her to a throne carved from a single block of obsidian. He took his place, but he did not sit alone. He pulled a second chair made of polished driftwood and pearls beside his own. Epilogue. The legend of the two worlds to this day. The people of Ethelgerd tell of the vanishing princess, but the sailors know better. They know that when the fog rolls in thick and the stars are hidden, a turquoise glow often appears at the bow of ships in distress. They say a woman with hair like sea foam and a man with eyes of amber guide the lost back to the shore. Alara never lost her love for the surface. She simply expanded her horizon. She became the bridge between the salt spray and the silent deep, the princess who traded a kingdom of dust for a kingdom of eternal blue.